do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indie Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indie Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show. We've got a really nice show lined up for you today. Coming up here in about 20 minutes, Tony East of Locked On Pacers is going to join the show, and we're going to talk Pacers-Bucks. Game 2 tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Tip-off for that game set for 7 o'clock. I know that the game is not on national TV tonight, right? It's not on, TNT or ESPN or anything like that. But the game will be on the local, listing, the FanDuel Sports Network. Just want to let you know, you can buy the game tonight for like $7. I don't know how you do that. I just know that you can. So if you want to watch Bucks Pacers tonight, you can buy it for like $7 on FanDuel Sports Network. Once again, don't know how you do it, but I do know that you can. And I'm very intrigued to see how this game goes tonight. The Pacers win game 1, 117-98. They take a 1-0 series lead. Game 2 tonight at 7 o'clock. Damian Lillard was upgraded to questionable. He's going to play. The Pacers are going to play against a Damian Lillard Bucks team tonight. And I'm very intrigued to see how the Pacers respond to the punch in the mouth that they're going to get in the opening minutes. The Bucks are going to come out, and they are going to open the game with a run. They got blown off the court in game 1. Game wasn't close. Pacers were up by as many as 28 at one point. And usually when teams get blown out, they start the next game very aggressively. We're going to see a lot of Giannis early. They're going to get Damian Lillard some looks early. They're probably going to make them because those are two excellent basketball players. They're going to come out aggressive, and they're going to look to make a statement early. The Milwaukee Bucks are. Pacers have to withstand that and throw a nice little counterpunch. And I think that they will. They're just better than the Milwaukee Bucks are. So much of the conversation around this series, and part of that is my fault, is about Giannis and Dame. And do you really want to bet against Giannis and Dame in the first round and all of that kind of stuff? It's great. I get it. Because basketball, it's a weird sport where individuals have more impact on it than in any other sport, right? Football, unless you're Travis Hunter, you only play offense or defense. Baseball, you get 4 at-bats and maybe a few plays in the field, and pitchers don't hit anymore. And so basketball, you get to do everything. And so you have a large impact on the game, and we saw that from Giannis in game 1. The issue is everyone else on the Bucks just isn't very good. They're not. Meanwhile, you look at the Pacers, they played 9 guys in the first quarter of game 1. They are deep. And there is very little drop-off from the starters to the bench guys. And that doesn't change whether Damian Lillard comes back and plays or not. And when he does play, they're going to be better offensively. The Bucks are probably going to score more than 98 points tonight because they're probably, once again, this is not confirmed. I'm just assuming, once again, Damian Lillard upgraded to questionable for the game tonight, which usually when guys are questionable, they tend to play. So if Damian Lillard plays tonight, they're going to be better offensively, and they're going to score more than 98 points. But they're not going to be very good on defense. They're not. And that is the Bucks' biggest issue when playing against the Indiana Pacers. There is give and take to bringing Damian Lillard back, and once again, the offense will be better. It will be. And they have to be better offensively. But I think that the assumption that Damian Lillard is just going to show up and be awesome, I don't think that that's necessarily going to be true. I wouldn't be surprised if he was bad in his return and he struggled and he looked rusty. This guy hasn't played basketball in a month. And it's not he's been sitting out of games but still running and conditioning and getting shots up. No, he's been shut down. He hasn't been able to work out. His conditioning is not going to be at an NBA playoff level. And Damian Lillard's not 27. He's 35, 36. Even if he does come back tonight, how effective is he going to be? Now, he'll obviously make the Bucks better offensively because of the gravity that his presence demands. Okay? But this guy hadn't played in a game in over a month. He's not going to be in shape. He's just not. So if he comes back tonight, I don't think he's going off for 35. If he comes back in game 3, same thing. He's not going to be in great shape. And more importantly, the Pacers are going to abuse him defensively. This is the part of bringing him back that, for some reason, no one really wants to talk about. It's all about, Bucks are going to be so much better, and they are going to be better. But their biggest issue in game 1 was that they couldn't guard the Pacers. They couldn't. Like, Giannis got whatever he wanted on offense. If he makes free throws, he easily scores 40 and, all that good stuff. Congratulations. But, the Pacers got whatever they wanted on the offensive end of the floor. Like, they generated a ton of open threes. They got to the rim, finishing over Brook Lopez. Miles Turner was hitting shots. And this was all with Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin combining to shoot 1 of 13 from 3. It's not, that's not very good. You can't shoot 1 of 13. You can't allow for the Pacers to be that good offensively when Mathurin and Halliburton only shoot 1 of 13 from 3. The Bucks' biggest issue is their defense. They cannot defend the Pacers. And Damian Lillard only makes that problem bigger because that dude couldn't guard me. Okay? And, Bucks fans are all riled up because he and Halliburton got into a little bit at the end of game 1. And, Damian Lillard got a technical even though he didn't play. And now everyone's like, oh, it's Dame time. Get ready for Dame time. No. I'm telling you right now, if Damian Lillard plays tonight, he will struggle because he hadn't played in a month. And he's going to have, some rotation of, TJ McConnell and Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith defending him. If he doesn't play, then the Pacers will definitely win again. After everything I just said about Damian Lillard, he is their only chance to get a game off the Pacers. Because even though Giannis is great and he went for 36 points and he took 15 free throws, that is a great Giannis game. Getting to the foul line, getting to the rim. He had a couple of those, 15 or 16-foot jumpers. And if I'm the Pacers, I'm like, hey, Giannis, you take as many 15 and 16-foot jumpers as you want. Like, you just go ahead and do that. Okay? Like he had an excellent game. But he has to have help on the offensive end. Damian Lillard will obviously provide that. But if he doesn't play, they don't have another guy who can score. Once again, I think we're going to see Damian Lillard tonight. Bleacher Report reported that he was apparently upgraded to questionable tonight. So, once again, still waiting on official word as to whether or not he's going to play, but it seems like he's going to. And if I was the Milwaukee Bucks, I've talked about their defensive issues, but they have to have Dame because, you got to be able to score too. And Kevin Porter Jr. was supposed to be that other guy that they ran their offense through. That guy's been on their team for 2 months. He wasn't good in game 1. He scored 12 points, 2 of 7 from the field. And the only reason why he scored 12 points is because he made 8 free throws. Your second option has to be better than that. And going from Kevin Porter Jr. to Damian Lillard is a massive upgrade. So Lillard will obviously help the Bucks. But once again, that issue is defense. The Bucks didn't inspire any confidence whatsoever in their ability to stop the Pacers in game 1. Now, adjustments will be made. Okay, but you have to have the guys to play defense. You can scheme guys open on offense. You can run, fill in the blank player through 37 screens and eventually get them open for a shot. You can run a ball screen until you get the switch that you want, and then you can go isolation and then, do the whole Boston Celtics thing where you drive kick and swing the ball. Offensively, you can manipulate guys into having good games if you get them the right matchup or if you run the right set for them. That is not how defense works. Defense, you better be able to guard. You just have to be a dude if you're going to play defense at a high level. You can make as many adjustments as you want. You can put 2 on the ball. You can, hedge and recover. You can do a lot of things. But here's the thing. This is the NBA, where whatever defense you deploy, It has been solved. Like there is a solution for it. There is a counter to every single defense that you run. And when you have a point guard, like the Pacers do in Tyrese Halliburton, who just consistently makes the right decision, doesn't matter what you do. Unless you're a team like Boston or Oklahoma City, where you just have 5 guys on the floor at all times who can get in a stance and defend, like you're screwed playing against this Indiana Pacers offense. That's the simple reality of it. So if I was the Milwaukee Bucks playing against the Indiana Pacers, I would just sell out to offense. Like, you know what? We're going to try and score 140 points. We're going to go Pat Connaughton, who can light it up from 3. We're going to go Damian Lillard, Giannis, Kevin Porter Jr., and Brook Lopez. And we're just going to try and score as many points as possible because they just simply don't have the personnel to defend the Indiana Pacers. When you run through everyone on their roster, you have to figure out who's a good defender and who isn't. Like the list is pretty short. Giannis is a good defender. Brook Lopez, good rim protector. Not as good as he used to be, but still pretty good. Taurean Prince, he's a decent perimeter defender. And the rest of these guys can't guard. Kevin Porter Jr. can't guard. Kyle Kuzma's not a very good defender. At least he wasn't in game 1. Ryan Rollins, you didn't know who that was until game 1. He's not a very good defender. Gary Trent Jr. is undersized. Bobby Portis doesn't really have the foot speed. AJ Green, come on. They isolated him whenever they could in game 1. And that's why the Pacers are going to win this series. And originally, I picked the Pacers in 7. I hate that prediction now. If the Pacers win this series in 5 games, I would not be surprised in the slightest. Seriously, like that is how good this Pacers team is. Okay, even with Damian Lillard coming back for the Bucks, you know that the Pacers are going to make their offense tough because the Pacers actually have more than 2 or 3 guys on their roster that you feel comfortable with playing defense. Like Pascal Siakam's a good defender. Miles Turner was great in game 1, protecting the rim. Andrew Nembhard, Aaron Nesmith, TJ McConnell, all 3 of those guys can defend. Mathurin, Walker have stretches where they look really good on the defensive end of the floor. So even with Lillard coming back, the Pacers have plenty of guys to throw at him in terms of size and length. And I like the Pacers again tonight. They're going to score over 115 points again. They are. They just run super crisp, super awesome offense. If they scored 90 points in 3 quarters again, I would not be surprised. I think they win. Last time I checked, that the spread was 4.5. I think the Pacers cover that. I think Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton combined to shoot better than 1 of 13 like they did in game 1. I love the Pacers tonight. And I also love Halliburton tonight. I think he's going to be awesome. I think he's going to have a really good game. Okay? I think Tyrese Halliburton is going to be spectacular. And the NBA player podcast era is one of the most frustrating things I've ever been a part of. I see all these clips, and I'm just going to say it. A lot of these NBA players who have podcasts are dumb. They don't know what they're talking about. It's honestly incredible. But it makes sense because they're just wrapped up in their own team. They see Twitter highlights. They aren't at home watching every game like people like me. They're not. And so, the NBA and different companies, they'll do polls, and they polled NBA players. And they asked a very simple question. Who's the most overrated player in the NBA? And NBA Central has this on Twitter. Apparently, Tyrese Halliburton has been voted the most overrated player in the NBA, and that is complete and utter nonsense. Tyrese Halliburton is one of the 15 best players in the world. That's how good this guy is. And I think a lot of this comes from what athletes value. Athletes value being athletic. That's the simple reality of it. And Tyrese Halliburton is a 6'6" stick figure with a funky looking jump shot that he makes a lot, by the way. 39% from 3 for his career. And he wins the game just by being incredibly smart. He doesn't wow you. He's not some amazing one-on-one, player. He's just got this weird herky-jerky kind of style, but hey, man, it works. And that's really all that matters. The fact that Tyrese Halliburton was voted as the most overrated player in the league bothers me beyond all belief when there's a guy named LaMelo Ball in Charlotte who people love for some reason. That guy is overrated. Jordan Poole, a little overrated. The fact that the Bucks gave up Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma makes me raise the question. Maybe Kyle Kuzma is the most overrated player in the NBA. We can just keep going. But the fact that he was voted most overrated really bothers me. It shouldn't bother me as much as it does. But, like, that guy's amazing. The Pacers have a legitimate star. And I love the fact that guys don't like him because I'm sure some of it comes back to the fact that he talks a lot of trash and all that kind of stuff. But for some reason, because he plays for the Pacers, people don't like it. It's weird. Usually we like guys that talk a lot in the manner that Halliburton does. It's in good fun. And, it's not like Draymond Green, who's just kind of mean sometimes. Like, Halliburton talking trash is, like, good and fun and entertaining. But for some reason, people don't like it. And it's probably because he plays for the Indiana Pacers. And they're about to potentially go up 2-0 tonight. And if they do, Pacers in 5. I feel really confident about that. They're just better than Milwaukee. And the reason why Milwaukee's going to win a game is because they have Giannis, and he's going to have another amazing game, and there will be some shooting variants where the Pacers lose. So, Pacers tonight, I like them. I think they cover the 4.5 points. I think Halliburton plays amazing, and I can't wait for the game tonight. When we come back here in about 3 minutes, Tony East of Locked On Pacers joins the show to continue the conversation on Pacers-Bucks, Game 2.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're listening on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. Maybe you're watching on Twitter __ Jonathan Smith if you want to follow me there. You can also check out my other YouTube thing called My Take Is, where there's a ton of stuff on the NBA right now. And Tony East of Locked On Pacers joins the show to talk Pacers-Bucks Game 2 tonight. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
Tired from playoff games like crazy, but doing very well.
But it's the best time of the year. There's nothing better than Clippers Nuggets going down to the wire at 1 a.m. last night.
Yeah, that was awesome. At both games of that series, I've been like, man, the Nuggets have to be so mad that they like barely lost a game where Kawhi was on fire, but then the Nuggets had to be mad that they barely won a game where Jokic was amazing. That's the best series so far. It's so good.
It is. It is amazing. And I got to be honest, I hope that that's the best series. I hope the Pacers continue to just blow out the Bucks. You know, I took the Pacers in 7. If I remember correctly, you did as well.
Yes,
this is just the biggest overreaction to Game 1 ever. If the Pacers won this series in 5, I would not be surprised after what happened in Game 1. What are kind of your thoughts on the series after that first game?
Yeah, I thought the Pacers would probably start the series decently well, you know, with Lillard out, and they just are way more experienced than last year. But yeah, I didn't think it'd be that easy. I mean, a 19-point win in the way that they did it was not at all what I had on the bingo card. Like, they didn't even play that well with Giannis on the bench, but they dominated the minutes with Giannis on the floor. No one saw that coming. And everybody feels the same way. The ease with which the Pacers got just like whatever easy shot they wanted for probably 40 minutes of this game, 35 maybe, was just ridiculous, right? Like in the first 3 minutes of the game, they had 5 wide open threes, and Andrew Nembhard got to the rim 3 times. It's like, man, if they could just do this, like the Bucks are going to have to be changing a ton of stuff to unfamiliar groups or hoping that they can score enough to set their defense a lot because they can't stop these guys at all. And the Pacers shot decently well from 3. 38% is like a good number, but that's not amazing. That's not like a tilts the game kind of percentage. And not Tyrese Haliburton missed every 3 he took and was 3 for 13 for 11 points. Like, if you told me they shot like just okay and Ty wasn't that good, I would have thought there was no way that they scored so easily for an entire game, but they did. And the Bucks, to their credit, like fought with Giannis and got that bench group out there late and battled back. But if the Pacers can score that easily, I still think it will be hard when Dame comes back. And like the Bucks will certainly change their starting lineup and have different defensive answers throughout this series. But once the Pacers adjust too, like they feel so good about how they're playing on offense and the advantages they'll be able to make in this series. They look great. And I agree that, well, I'm not changing my Pacers in 7. I think some people could, and it'd be fine. They have to feel great about how they started.
They really do. And I like the offense, like you said, it was just so easy. Like they got so many open threes. Haliburton, even though he was, like you said, 3 of 13 from the floor, only scored 11 points. I thought he was awesome. I appreciate how the slow shooting start didn't deter him from still being aggressive and looking to, attack coming off of screens. Because I do think that sometimes when he misses his first couple shots, he'll kind of be a little more passive. But I didn't think that was the case in Game 1. What'd you think of his performance overall?
Yeah, it was an off scoring night, certainly. And like he absolutely cooked AJ Green a few times for baskets. But outside of that, he was having like not trouble, but just wasn't able to wiggle totally free. Like he missed the floaters that he makes. Everybody knows he's going to make more threes than 0 with the same shot diet. And like I walked up to him after the game and I just said, "Hey, do you feel good about the shots you got?" He said, "Oh yeah." And then I said, "What do you hope to get in Game 2?" He said, "Same ones. I'll make them." Right. So like he feels good about the shots he took, which is good because the passing part was great. Right. Like,
oh yeah,
no dispute that, what was it? 12, 11 assists and only 1 turnover. Like that's not normal. Like we're so used to it watching the Pacers all the time that those numbers are what he does. But it's like James Harden had 11 and 2 in the first Clippers game, and people were like, "Oh my God, James Harden, what a great passing game!" I'm like, that's like every Tyrese Haliburton game, right?
That's right. Yeah,
he was certainly still effective, and the Bucks put Taurean Prince on him, and that's like their best option with their Game 1 starting 5, and that's just not good enough, right? And Gary Trent's probably the only better option they have on their whole team, I guess. They just don't have they have better perimeter defense than last year, like undisputably, but they don't have anyone awesome enough to really make him be like, "Oh crap, I can't create any space. So like I need a screen every time," So I just have a feeling he's going to be able to get into his flow, throughout this series. But how easy it is might depend on Bucks adjustments, but the Bucks were cutting him off, right? Like he was seeing different coverages on screens than other Pacers, and he figured that out pretty quick. And so he would just take the space and hit somebody else. Like if it's gonna be that easy the whole series, I don't know. I might not have to care about their defense on Giannis as much or anything like that.
That's how I feel about it. Joined by Tony East of Locked On Pacers, talking Pacers Bucks game 2 tonight at 7:00. I think if I was the Bucks, I would just be like, you know what, Lillard's going. When he comes back, I think I'd just be like, you know what, forget defense. We're not stopping anybody anyway. Like let's just go like Pat Connaughton out there on the floor. Like let's just try to score 140. But and this is like I get so frustrated, Tony, listening to different people talk about the Pacers, because since that 10-15 start, they were 7th in the NBA in defensive rating. Like they are a really good defensive team. Like, and I understand, like, you know, Halliburton is like, that's not really the reputation, but so much of the defense, I think, starts with Miles Turner. He was so good in that first game. What'd you kind of think of him and kind of the rim protection in game 1? And what do you think the Pacers defense looks like as the series continues?
Yeah, look, nobody can stop Giannis. I actually found it pretty interesting how much the Pacers after game 1 thought that their key next step of the series was defending him better and keeping him away from the rim. I'm just not sure how possible that even is. Yeah. However, to your question about Turner, like he was the best individual at actually like deterring him in the paint in a one-on-one setting. Don't get me wrong, you do not want to have any one-on-one settings with Giannis Antetokounmpo in the paint, but like Turner actually stopped 2 or 3 real attacks from him. The jump ball will be the most famous one because it was such like a battle of war. It was such a war in the paint, the attrition, the strength, and Turner came out on top of that one. The Pacers won the jump ball, but you know, in general, I thought he did very well. Like they're doing a lot of 4-5 switching with him, with Siakam and Turner, and they're sending the doubles and they're doing the walls. All that requires Turner to be really good on the defensive end, and he was locked into that game plan. I was very curious how he and the Pacers kind of come up with all that and the what triggers them to do certain coverages, because you can't just show Giannis the same stuff all series long. But I agree, Turner was very good on the defensive end and even made some shots in the third quarter, hit the dagger, like the perfect first home opener for him in a series, right? He was great. And they need him to keep doing that. But I don't know, like, are the Bucks going to stop screening for Giannis with a 5-man because it keeps Turner out of the play? Maybe that's something that could happen. I'm very curious how all this unfolds now.
Joined by Tony East of Locked On Pacers, talking about the Bucks and Pacers series, game 2 tonight. And Tony, I know you've been watching all of the playoffs, and so I know that you saw some young players, mainly in Detroit, in that game 1 game. By the way, game 2 last night was awesome. Yeah. But like in game 1, like you saw, like, you know, Cade Cunningham kind of struggle a little bit in his first playoff game. For the Pacers game 1, though, Mathurin and Walker, I thought they both played really well. What'd you make of their performance?
Yeah, if you told me before the game that Mathurin would go 2 for 7 and everybody would like universally be like, yeah, he played great, right? I'd be like, no way. But he was awesome, right? And everyone's fine with Ben Mathurin taking whatever it was, 5 or 6 threes if they're all in rhythm, because he can shoot well enough, and they were all in rhythm. None of them were bad looks, and he was cutting so well. Like as soon as somebody got stuck under the rim, boom, he's off to the basket to be a bailout. Or if somebody's on the weak side with a bunch of defenders over there, boom, he's cutting into space, and like he would get off of it or shoot right away. He just did a really good job of playing that part of his game, and I don't think anybody would have thought, the way we all talked about Ben Mathurin leading up to the series, oh yeah, he's going to cut really well. Like no one thought that. Yeah. No one thought that would be the thing that would be coming out of game 1. But yeah, he looked great, and his defense was good. They adjusted to put him in a harder matchup right after the first quarter. McConnell on Kevin Porter Jr. was not working at all. When they put Mathurin on him, and lo and behold, Kevin Porter off night, right? Like that worked really well too. So it's hard not to be happy if you're the Pacers with what he did on both ends of the floor, or even on a, you know, statistically kind of quieter night for him. And yeah, Walker was good too. I think him hitting his first shot was really important for him settling in, because before that he had some dribbles that I was like, oh boy, he's got those are, I mean, he didn't ever actually turn it over, but they just were like a little loose and a little bit of like no real idea of what he was going to do in a way that was maybe not concerning, but just not great. But yeah, he was fine too. Like he defended well enough. He's a guy who can foul Giannis 6 times. Like that's all right. The front court guys can be in this series. And you know, I wasn't sure if they'd even play more than 8. If they can play Walker real minutes and not get killed, that's huge. And Thomas Bryant was like fine enough at times. I thought he was probably their worst rotation player, but like they got enough out of everybody. And Walker and Mathurin in their real minute playoff debuts were both impressive. I think that's a big deal for the Pacers, although, consistency with young guys is the thing, and we'll see how it goes in game 2.
Joined by Tony East of Locked On Pacers, talking Bucks Pacers game 2 tonight at 7:00. Is there anything specific that you're looking for in game 2, just like adjustment wise?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting, like from our side of this. I'm sure the coaches on both staffs have their adjustments they want to make regardless of results of games. But like in my head, it's so easy to think of adjustments for the teams that lose and less obvious for the teams that win, if that makes any sense, right? So the Pacers have got to be thinking, oh, great, all this stuff worked. Like we just got to do it again. Great, we'll feel great about how we're playing. Whereas the Bucks are like, oh my gosh, we suck. Like we got to fix this, and that. So like I've been more gravitating towards like what Milwaukee can do better and how. And I think they're going to change their starting lineup. They almost have to, right? Like their bench group has been so good. It's so obvious that surrounding Giannis with shooters is the way to go. How do they get one of Green or Trent into that starting 5? Who do they take out? It's so easy to say Kuzma because what was he even doing? I mean, literally not like you and I had the same stats as him in game 1, but like he's like their only athletic forward on the whole team. And like, there's a reason they wanted, I don't think he's nearly as good as Chris Middleton, but like there's a reason they wanted to get him. So maybe the answer is they take out Taurean Prince for one of Trent or Green just to get some shooting into that starting 5. But, I mean, it might just not matter. If Dame's back, they might just start Dame and see how the chips fall with those groups. But, like, it's so obvious they know their bench is better. They close with it every game, and they play more minutes than the starters. Like, it's clearly Doc Rivers knows this, right? No matter what he says, I can see what he did during the game. So I would expect a lineup change from them, either it being Lillard starting or it being something else among those first 5 is different. And I think they'll go zone a little bit more. They're one of the only teams in the league that, lots of teams are willing to go zone against the Pacers bench. Those McConnell groups didn't have a lot of shooting throughout the season, especially before Toppin got rolling. But the Bucks were one of the only teams, especially in that game that they won on New Year's Eve last year, that was like a famous loss for the Pacers this year. Few teams went zone against the Pacers starters, and actually it worked. And the Bucks were one of them. And the Bucks zone was like, not awesome in game 1, but a lot of the shots that sunk it from a points perspective was like TJ McConnell flying around to the right and hitting a fadeaway mid-range shot. Like, are the Bucks really that mad that that's what they gave up? Like, probably not, but I think they'll be, I think the Pacers have got to be thrilled McConnell got going a little bit. So I think we'll see more zone. I think a lineup change from the Bucks is supremely possible, and the Bucks are going to want to defend with offense. Like you said, they're going to want to try to score so they don't have to play transition defense and get out of their matchups in those moments since they cross-match so much. So how do they tilt themselves to try to score a little more? I don't know, but I think a lot of the lineup stuff would go a long way there.
Joined by Tony East of Locked On Pacers, talking Bucks Pacers. Game 2 tonight at 7:00. So I don't know if you saw this or not because you're busy today. Tyrese Halliburton was apparently voted the most overrated player in the NBA by other players, which really bothers me because he's definitely not.
Oh, is that did the Athletics anonymous thing come out? Is that what that is?
I think so. NBA Central had it. And it really bothered me. What do you make of all these different like player polls and things? Yeah,
I mean, every year I need to read those. I love those because every year James Johnson wins the guy who least like to fight by like a 70% share of the vote. That's interesting. I'm trying to so like my initial thought would be like, when did they actually pull players? Because like when Halliburton stunk to start the season, like obviously everybody was going to pick him, right? And I don't know how long people view the cutoff for when he stopped really slumping. Some people say like right after Thanksgiving, he had a few nice games. I've always used the NBA Cup. Some people use January, which was his best month of the season. Whatever time frame you want to use. Like he's been really, really good for 3+ months, but I think if you have a 20 to 25 game sample where you're playing quite poorly, I get why other players would say, oh no, that guy's overrated. A third of their games basically were games where he didn't meet the standard that he has set for himself, but that others have set for him, whatever you want to say. And I guess I get why players went that way. I'd be very curious what the actual voting share looked like, but yeah, I mean, since again, my time frame is the NBA Cup. Since the NBA Cup Finals, he clearly has not been overrated. I mean, he's been one of the best offensive players in the NBA since then, right? So I don't know who my answer would personally be because I just value different things than other people. But I guess I get why players would feel that way, even though I think it's definitely the wrong answer.
LaMelo Ball is the answer for me.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. I mean, any high volume, low efficiency guy, I just hate those. So any of those.
I'm the exact same way, especially when, the only reason why people think he's good is because they don't watch Charlotte play. They just see like clips on Twitter. It bothers me. Anyway, last thing for you, Tony, and I'll let you go. Who do you like tonight?
Every game or Pacers Bucks?
Let's go every game. Why not?
I think if the Pacers get the same shot quality they got in game one, they'll just win. I mean, that's just such a huge. That's like starting the game off up like 8 or 9-0, right? Like that's a huge advantage, and they're good enough on defense to survive with that. But it's so hard to do these predictions for one game against the Bucks because one, they have Giannis and he could just have 45 or 50 or something, and then you're in trouble. Or two, like they led the league in 3-point percentage. Like they're not going to shoot that bad again. How much more do they shoot, and how much more effective does that make them? But yeah, I think the Pacers go to. If you made me predict, I think the Pacers go to Milwaukee up 2-0. OKC Memphis is tonight. Good luck to the Grizzlies. Have fun. If you win one game, Memphis, I'll be very happy for you. Congratulations. It will not be today. It will not be in Oklahoma City. What is the third game? I can't remember. It's a TNT game. It's the West.
It
West
is
Coast
the
game.
Lakers and the Timberwolves.
Right? Lakers? Yeah, Lakers. That's right. Man, that's a great series. I find out I would be stunned if the Lakers left LA down 0-2, but they were bad, man. They did not look good in that first game. I'm picking the Lakers, but mostly just because I can't imagine them looking this bad for a whole series. When JJ Redick said it, he's like, "Yeah, we sucked at like everything, and Ant was the best player on the floor. Like that's how the Wolves have got to win." I will pick the Lakers, but I'm not super confident in that.
Sounds good. Do you want the numbers on which player was voted the least likely guy that they would want to fight?
I assume James Johnson won. I'm glad they did the question again.
He won at 63%. Do you know who
I was
second
close.
place
I said
was?
7 out of 10. I was close. Who was second? Bobby Portis or Isaiah Stewart?
Isaiah Stewart.
Three, right?
No Bobby Portis.
Wow, I figured he'd actually be up there.
I figured so
like
too.
Bobby Portis, I get why Pacers fans hate him, but he's not a fake tough guy. Like
Hey,
he
man.
actually is.
He is
like
from
that,
Tony. He is from inner city Little Rock. He grew up like 20 minutes from where I did, and I grew up in a pretty rough place. Where like the school that Bobby Portis went to was the only school where we were like, don't want to go there. I mean, he's just he's tough.
I get why Pacers fans hate him, but yeah, it's real. It's a real thing. Same with Isaiah Stewart. Like he's the real tough. He's real tough, not fake tough.
He didn't even get like
third. Who was third?
Steven Adams, which makes a lot of sense.
Oh, that's actually a good answer.
He didn't even. I don't know if he got a vote. Like he's not on here at all.
Wow.
Like I don't know. I think I'd rather. So like Zion Williamson's on here at like 1.4%. I think I'd rather. I think I'd rather fight Zion.
Yeah. I mean, I'm losing to everybody in the NBA, obviously, but I
don't know, man. Like maybe like just move around a bunch. Wear Zion out. Play the long game there. Tony, thanks for your time, man. As always, I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Take care.
See ya. That is Tony East. You can check him out on Twitter at Tony R East. Talking Bucks Pacers game 2 tonight. When we come back here in about 4 minutes, Chris Ballard. He had to speak. He had his pre-NFL draft press conference that is coming up on Thursday. Cannot wait for the NFL draft. It's going to be an absolute blast. Covering that, talking about how the Indianapolis Colts are going to disappoint us this year. So when we come back here in about 4 minutes, I've got some audio from Chris Ballard talking about the quarterback position, which has been, just the biggest issue here in Indianapolis for quite some time. So when we come back here in about 4 minutes, Chris Ballard talking about NFL quarterbacks.
it may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Hopefully you're having a nice start to your week. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're listening via the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. You can also listen to the Dan Dockett Show there from noon to 3. Maybe you're watching this show over on Twitter, _ Jonathan Smith, if you want to follow me there. And if you want even more from me, you can go check out the My Take Is YouTube channel. Now, Chris Ballard did his pre-draft, press conference yesterday. And the Colts have worked out various quarterbacks. Like, they're going to take one in the 4th or 5th round. They have to replace the Colts legend, Sam Ehlinger. And, someone asked what I would say is a pretty fair question. Just, why are you looking to draft a quarterback when you drafted Daniel Jones? It's a fair question. I don't really like it because I think the answer is kind of obvious, but, not everyone is as smart as you and I are. So someone asked Chris Ballard, why are you looking at all of these different quarterbacks? And here's what the Colts general manager had to say.
We always, I think if you look every year, even when we had Andrew, we brought, quarterbacks in. I think you do that all the time. And we also, believe it or not, we worked out a couple. We went and visited a couple. I think you do that every year. The one thing you can see with the quarterback position now, you better get to know them in the draft process because you never know when it's going to come back around to you. You just don't know. That's the one thing I always kind of giggle when a quarterback turns us down. No, we're not going to visit with you. Okay. 3 years from now, we'll see how that plays out because you just look at it. The changing of teams now, the lack of patience, guys are and everybody's developmental curve and journey is different. So you never know when it's going to come back around to you.
Chris Ballard right there talking about why they work out quarterbacks even when they feel like they have a guy. And there's so much stuff in this clip to get to, but I think the biggest thing is in the clip, he mentions how important it is to get to know quarterbacks during the pre-draft process because you never know when it's going to come back around to you. And that's something that they're going through right now. Daniel Jones, 6th pick in the NFL draft. When he was taken, you probably never thought you would see him in a Colts uniform. Okay? And this is exactly what he's talking about. You'll see teams in the NBA do the exact same thing. They'll work out guys that they have no chance at drafting, and it's because, maybe whoever they're drafted to, the situation doesn't work out, and then they wind up being a free agent, and then you bring them in. That's what the Colts did with Daniel Jones. So you're seeing why teams work out quarterbacks that they may or may not draft. It's because they may come back around later in the future. He also mentions that they do this to get to know these quarterbacks, which is really smart. I wish that they'd known this 4 years ago. Because you should also get to know quarterbacks well during the pre-draft process, because if you don't, then you may end up drafting an immature guy like Anthony Richardson. Okay, later during his press conference, Chris Ballard was asked why players bust. Like what are some of the common themes you see in players that don't pan out? And he mentioned one of those 3 reasons being character. And based on what transpired last season, part of why Anthony Richardson is on the verge of being a bust is because of his, I'm going to call it his football character because I don't know Anthony Richardson personally. But there are certain things in football that you just don't do. And I do think that it says something about you and the kind of person that you are. Like the tap out. I think if you're a tough person who knows how to work through things, you don't tap out in that game. Not playing when you're a little banged up. I think if you're a tough person that is highly competitive and highly driven and highly ambitious, I don't think that you let some bumps and bruises, especially when you're a running quarterback, keep you from not playing. I think that, not showing up early to get extra work in when you clearly need it. Shows a lack of ambition, and like that's problematic. And I would say that like those are directly related to football. So like I'm going to call that his football character, because once again, like I don't know Richardson well enough to say whether or not he's a bad dude. But all of those things are football character related issues. And it's part of why Anthony Richardson lost the job for a couple weeks last season. The good news for Anthony Richardson is he is a year older, and people's character does develop and change over time. And I think that Daniel Jones arriving, now being real competition for him, should fast track some of those character issues being corrected from last year. When there's someone behind you legitimately threatening to take your job, it encourages you to play a little bit more. It just does. It does. It encourages you to not tap out. It encourages you to be like, you know what, man, my left shoulder really hurts this week, but if I sit out and Daniel Jones goes in and he's like 18 of 23 for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns, like he may take my spot. So I think I got to play anyway. Okay, because yes, like the accuracy and the footwork of Anthony Richardson needs to be developed. But some of that football character needs to be developed as well if he wants to be the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts next season. Chris Ballard was asked how they'll pick a quarterback next year, and his response is just, it's unacceptable. Listen to Chris Ballard explain how they will pick a starting quarterback next season.
I mean, that'll be that'll be a decision between, Shane and, Jim Bob, Mr. Irsay, I, and we'll all get together and who gives us our best chance to win. I think it'll be a great competition between both of them. Look, sometimes I want to say this right. Like, sometimes you got to be bad before you can be good at playing this game. Sometimes you got to struggle before you can be good. All right. And we got 2 guys that have had some really strong flashes, and they've had some bad moments too. And that's okay. I think both of them will be better because of this. And I think the team will be better because of it. Competition brings out the best in everybody. And I think we'll see that. Whether, to sit here a day before we even start the offseason and have a vision of how you don't want to begin with an end in mind. We're not going to do that. It's like the draft. You don't want to begin with an end in mind. You got to let things play out the way they should and compete, and who gives the team the best chance to win. If I'm a betting man, both of them, at some point, both of them will help us.
Chris Ballard right there talking about how they'll pick a quarterback and how you got to be bad sometimes before you can be good, and how Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones have each shown flashes, and it's all fine and dandy. It's great. Red flag, though. The fact that he said that a combination of Shane Steichen, and Jim Irsay will make the decision is problematic, because meddling owners don't win in any sport. You have to hire people that you trust. If he doesn't trust Jim Irsay, if he doesn't trust Shane Steichen and Jim Bob Cooter to make the correct decision at who should be the starting quarterback, then Shane Steichen doesn't need to be the head coach. It's that simple. If Jim Irsay doesn't trust Chris Ballard to bring in the correct quarterback, or, do the other jobs of a general manager, then Chris Ballard doesn't need to be a general manager. This is just, another scenario of professional sports aren't real life. If my boss didn't trust me to do a good show every day, then I wouldn't have a show. If my boss didn't trust me to produce the Dan Dockett show well every day, then I would be relieved of my duties, and they would find someone else to do it. And that is the biggest part of Shane Steichen's job this year, picking the correct quarterback and making sure that it works out. And my question is, how can Jim Irsay justify firing him at the end of the year if the Colts are bad and he's the one who picked the starting quarterback? You can't properly evaluate Chris Ballard or Shane Steichen if you're involved in the big decisions that are going to make or break the season. And picking the starting quarterback is one of those things. It is like Chris Ballard is a problem. He hasn't drafted well. There's been a lack of aggressiveness in free agency until this season. It's not great. He's made the wrong call at quarterback like 4 times now. Shane Steichen hasn't proved that he's a plus coach yet. And those things are problematic, tough to win with a general manager who's not doing his job and a head coach that's not above average. I would argue Shane Steichen's just another guy in the NFL right now. But Jim Irsay is also an issue. No way around it. Okay? Like how is he going to help make the quarterback decision when he's not at practice every day? Because you know he won't be. He's got some health issues, and it's really tough for him to get out there. So this is just problematic, and this isn't abnormal. It all starts at the top, as we know. Okay, like if you have a good owner, then the chances are the rest of your franchise is going to be really good. And Jim Irsay used to be a great owner, invested, would spend money, was all about it. But now, it doesn't really seem like that's much of the case anymore. And until he figures it out, Colts are going to continue to be a franchise that just continues to kind of pedal around and be 8-9, 9-8, all that good stuff. When we come back, here in about 4 minutes, Bucks, Pacers, Game 2 is happening tonight, 7 o'clock. Can't wait. If you don't know, the game is not on TNT or ESPN, so you may not be able to watch it, but you can purchase like a 1-game package for like $7 from the FanDuel Sports Network to watch the game tonight. So if you want to watch Pacers Bucks and you don't have a way to do it, $7 should be worth it. Hopefully the game is great. When we come back here in about 4.5 minutes, I'll continue giving you my thoughts on Bucks versus Pacers Game 2 tonight at 7 o'clock at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Big thanks to Tony East for coming on earlier in the show. Talked a lot of Bucks, Pacers. We're going to continue talking about that. But first, thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on Twitter, _ Jonathan Smith. Maybe you're listening via that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. If you want more from me, you can go check out the My Take Is YouTube page. Anyway, Garrett's Smokehouse Barbecue, it's the place to be. It's the best place in this great city of Indianapolis to get real, good, authentic barbecue. Okay, I'm from the South. I know what I'm talking about. They brought in food a couple weeks ago. I ate all of it. Didn't share. It's just simply too good. And right now, if you head over to IndySportsTicket.com, you can get $50 in gift certificates for only $25. And man, that money, it'll take you a long way. And that's because the food is just, it's magnificent. Trust me. Get over to Garrett's Smokehouse Barbecue. You will not regret it. And you won't regret watching the Pacers play the Bucks tonight. We got game 2 tonight. And I'm excited for this game. Pacers obviously cruising that first one, winning 117-98, 1-0 series lead. Game 2 tonight, 7 o'clock, Gamers Fieldhouse. Can't wait. And the thing that I am most intrigued to see is how the Pacers respond to getting punched in the mouth. Because the Bucks are going to come out after getting embarrassed. They were down by as many as 28 in that first game. The Bucks got embarrassed. They got blown off the court in game 1. And I think that when that happens, teams want to send a message early. There's just a little extra oomph behind whatever it is that they're bringing. And we're going to see that from the Milwaukee Bucks tonight when they play against the Pacers. And so I expect for the Bucks to come out, go on like an 8-0 run, something like that. And the Pacers have to be able to not only withstand it, but also throw like a nice little counter. And I think that they will, because I think that this Pacers team is tough, and I think that they're better than the Bucks, whether Damian Lillard comes back or not. When he doesn't play, the Bucks are a better defensive team, and the Pacers, scored 117 points. Okay, but they're not as good offensively. But whenever he does come back, maybe that's tonight. We're going to find out here probably within the hour whether or not Damian Lillard is going to play tonight. It was reported last night by Bleacher Report that he was upgraded from, out to questionable for game 2. So I think he's going to play tonight, but we should find out officially, hopefully at some point during the last hour of the show. But when he comes back, because he's going to play at some point, if not game 2, then game 3. When he does come back, he's going to make the offense better. But their defense is going to struggle for it. Okay, there is a major give and take for the Bucks bringing back Damian Lillard. And here's the thing. It may just be a take. Just because he comes back, it doesn't mean he's going to be amazing. This guy hasn't played he hadn't played basketball since March 14th. That's 5 weeks ago. It's a long time to go without playing in a game. And it's not like he was able, it's not like, he was still able to practice. Like, he couldn't do that. Like, when you have a blood clot in your calf, like, you're not doing much. You're sitting on the bench, you're hanging out, you're watching, you're trying to be a good teammate. You're doing what he did in game 1. He sat on the bench and he was pointing out, these different things to like Kevin Porter Jr. Be like, hey man, like when they cover you this way, you got to do this. And like that's what he's been doing for the last month. If he comes back, I don't think he's going to be great immediately. I think there's going to be rust for him to knock off. I also don't think that he's going to be in shape. And you have to be in shape if you're going to be impactful to the level that the Bucks need him to be impactful in a playoff game. He's going to be out of shape. And the Pacers are going to make him pay for that. They are going to put him in every ball screen. They are going to get him switched on to Halliburton or Siakam or fill in the blank with any other player. And they're going to go right at that dude. And they're going to test his conditioning. They are going to test him. And when you're tired, it doesn't only impact how you defend, it also impacts how you score the basketball. I don't know if you watched Pistons and Knicks last night. Pistons, man, there's a good basketball team. I told you. I didn't say it on this show. I said it on the Dan Dockett show. Kate Cunningham was going to be the best player in that series. He was last night. Anyway, if you watch that game, you'll notice that late, every shot that the Knicks took, they missed short. And it's because all their starters were playing like 38 minutes or more. Jalen Brunson played 44 minutes. If you watched him down the stretch, he left everything short. And for Lillard, that, wall of not having your legs on your jump shot, it's going to come earlier than the 44th minute he's on the floor because he's just not going to be in shape. So even if he does play, I like the Pacers tonight, and I like him in the series overall because they just aren't the Bucks can't guard Indiana. That's just the simple reality of it. But with that being said, Damian Lillard is their only chance to pull a game or two off the Indiana Pacers because Giannis is great. 36 points, 12 rebounds. The only critique for Giannis after game one is, you got to shoot better than 8 of 15 from the free throw line. But Giannis had a great game. He got to the rim whenever he wanted. He hit some of those like 15 to 17-foot jump shots, but he needs help. And Damian Lillard will provide that. Just the attention that he demands when he's on the floor will make the Bucks offense better. There will be a little bit more spacing. But if he doesn't play, they don't have another guy who can really score. And that's what I think the counter from the Bucks is going to be. It's going to be a lot of offense. Kevin Porter Jr., he was supposed to be the other guy that they ran their offense through. The only issue with that is Kevin Porter Jr. has been on the Milwaukee Bucks for like 2 months. It's problematic. He wasn't good in game one. He scored 12 points, 2 of 7 from the field. He only got to 12 points because he made 8 free throws. But your second option clearly has to be better than that. And Damian Lillard obviously is. Like, clearly he's a much better option than, Kevin Porter Jr. in terms of who you're going to run your offense through. But whether it's Kevin Porter Jr. out on the floor or it's Damian Lillard or whoever else, the Bucks can't guard the Pacers. I mean, the Pacers got whatever they wanted in game one. They generated so many open looks. They shot 38% from three, and they didn't shoot well. So, Jonathan, they shot 38% from three. What do you mean they didn't shoot well? Benedict Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton combined to shoot 1 of 13 from beyond the arc. That is not a normal thing. I would bet a lot of money that doesn't happen again. Mathurin and Halliburton combining to shoot 1 of 13 from three. So, in a game where, the Pacers won by 19, it should have been a lot worse if Halliburton has a normal shooting game where he shoots 3 of 8 from three. Okay? Now, despite the Bucks' lack of defensive resistance to the Indiana Pacers offense, they're going to make adjustments. They'll defend Halliburton differently on the screen and roll. They may show 2 to Pascal Siakam. They didn't double him. 10 of 15, 25 points. Here you go, Milwaukee. I don't think it's going to matter because when it comes to playing defense in the NBA, you just have to have dudes. In college, I think that you can scheme your way into playing good defense. But in the NBA, these players are so good and so talented that no matter what, defense you throw at these guys, whether you're blitzing them, like maybe tonight the Bucks will blitz Halliburton when he comes off screens. Well, Halliburton's playing the NBA for 7 years. He knows how to beat that. He's going to lob it over the top, to Siakam or Miles Turner or whoever, and then the Pacers are going to play 4-on-3, and the Pacers are probably going to score. Maybe with Lillard playing, maybe they'll do some sort of hedge and recover type of thing, but then a lot of your defense is out of position. And when you have a point guard like Tyrese Halliburton, who just makes good decisions and reads things and processes things incredibly fast, the way that he does, then the Pacers are going to score there. Like to get stops in the NBA, like you just have to have guys that are amazing defenders, guys that can just get in a stance and not let anyone go by them. And if something does happen, you have to have the quickness and the anticipation from your other 4 defenders to know how to properly rotate to stop, the drive to the basket or whatever it winds up being. You have to have that. And the Bucks just don't have the personnel to stop this Indiana Pacers offense. Go through their roster. Like Giannis is a great defender. That dude protects the rim. He can defend anyone on the floor. Shams just tweeted that Damian Lillard will make his return to action tonight. So Damian Lillard is a go in the game tonight. But like I was saying, it's not going to matter because the Bucks won't be able to guard the Pacers because they just don't have the personnel. Giannis is a great defender. Brook Lopez, solid guy who can kind of protect the rim. Taurean Prince is their best perimeter defender. It's not. He's fine. The rest of their guys don't really guard great. Kevin Porter Jr., he doesn't guard. Kyle Kuzma, Ryan Rollins, you didn't know who that was before game 1. Gary Trent Jr., a little undersized. Not a great defender. Bobby Portis doesn't have the foot speed to be a good defender. AJ Green, come on now. That guy is out there for one reason only, and that is to make threes. And that's why the Pacers are going to win this series because even with Damian Lillard coming back, like he's not improving their defense. And the combination of Damian Lillard and Giannis, as impressive as it is, and as much as I think that they're just outmatched by a simply superior Indiana Pacers team, the Bucks are going to win at least a game because of Damian Lillard and Giannis. Like they'll combine to score like 75 points, and the Pacers will have like an off game where they just don't shoot the ball very well, and all that kind of stuff. Like that's going to happen at some point during the series. But the Bucks aren't going to be able to get stops consistently throughout the series. And that is why I think the biggest adjustment that we're going to see from the Milwaukee Bucks tonight is like they're going to go all offense. Like, hey, our goal is to score 140 points, and, we'll see whether or not we can. And if you can, then, they'll probably win that game. But with that being said, like that's just going to make the offense even easier for the Pacers. But then again, I don't know how their offense gets any easier than what it was on Saturday. Yeah, Saturday afternoon. So Damian Lillard is officially playing tonight. Doesn't matter. I still like the Pacers to win. I'm not convinced that Lillard's going to be great. And he's just, he's a good player, but the guy hadn't played in a month. Like that's so problematic. And the Pacers offense is still going to be clicking. They're going to score over 115 points again. If they scored 90 points in 3 quarters, I wouldn't be surprised. And despite Damian Lillard coming back, like I still expect for the Pacers to have a good defensive game. Like since starting 10-15, they've had the 7th best defense in the NBA. This is a good defensive team that the Pacers have. Between, Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith and TJ McConnell. And if Mathurin defends as well as he did in game 1, you can throw him in there too. Between those 4 guys, they're going to have plenty of options to throw at Damian Lillard. That's the simple reality of it. Like they are going to do a good job defensively. Now, sometimes, you defend your butt off and Damian Lillard hits 7 threes anyway, and Giannis gets to the rim whenever he wants anyway. But I still expect for the Pacers to get much easier shots tonight than the Bucks. And the team that gets easier shots usually wins the game. So I like the Pacers tonight. Last time I checked, the spread was 4.5. It's going to move now that Damian Lillard is officially back playing the game. It'll move down. The Pacers should still be favored. It'll probably be closer to like 1.5 though. And let's check here. I just now got it pulled up. Let's see if it'll let me. Oh, let's go. 4. The line is still 4. So congratulations, Damian Lillard. You moved the line 0.5 point, even though the news just did come out. I'm sure over the next hour or so, we will see that line begin to move just a little bit more. So Lillard back in action tonight. Doesn't matter. Give me the Pacers -4, 4.5, whatever it ends up being. I think Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin both combine to shoot the ball much better tonight. I think they're better than 1 of 13 from 3. I don't think that's happening 2 games in a row. Give me the Pacers tonight -4, 4.5, whatever you get it at. When we come back, here in about 4 minutes, the Athletics big, long player survey thing came out. We're going to touch on a couple of those things, mainly just Halliburton being voted the most overrated player in the NBA. We've also got other playoff games tonight that I want to talk about. Timberwolves, they play the Los Angeles Lakers. The Grizzlies, Thunder. Game 2 of that series is tonight as well. So we'll talk about all that when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just...
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. Happy Tuesday. Hopefully your week is off to a good start. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on Twitter, __ Jonathan Smith, if you want to follow me there. You can also listen via the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. And if you want even more from me, you can go check out the My Take Is YouTube page, where I do a little bit more of this. It's a good time. It's fun. I enjoy it. Now, Bucks Pacers game 2 tonight. I think we're getting a big Halliburton night because The Athletic does an NBA player survey every year and they post the results. And the results came out today. And our guy, top 15 player in the NBA, an Olympic gold medalist, Tyrese Halliburton, was voted the most overrated player in the league. And it's just dumb because he's not. He's an excellent basketball player. Okay, the guy's like a career 39% three-point shooter. He sees the floor better than anyone not named Nikola Jokic. Distributes the ball at an incredibly high and efficient level, with all the turnovers and very few assists. There's just a bunch of haters in the league. That's really all there is to it. Not really. What it really is whenever athletes vote on stuff like this, like, they're going to vote for the guys that they think are awesome and can do things that they can't. And for me, that means other great athletes. And if a bunch of, fans like you and you're not a great athlete, they're going to think that you're overrated. So that's why that happened. It's a little annoying. It's a little frustrating, but it's fine. It's fine. We've got more basketball tonight going on outside of Pacers and Bucks. We got Grizzlies Thunder game 2. Hopefully you didn't watch game 1 because it wasn't close. Thunder beat the Grizzlies by 51. 51. And, if you watched, the start of that game, the first quarter, it's kind of even. Thunder scored, 9 points on 3 possessions late. They hit 2 threes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got fouled from 3. He hit all 3 free throws. But, so they, first quarter ends, they're up by 12. No big deal. Second quarter is going to be fine. And then the Thunder went on a 23-2 run to open the second quarter. Zach Edey just couldn't block enough shots for the Memphis Grizzlies. And a lot of that run happened while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was on the bench. And the question coming into these playoffs was if the Thunder would have enough offense outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And they did today. They're a much better version of the Denver Nuggets in that way. And, you looked up, the Thunder went by 32, despite a 2 of 10 start from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He had 9 points at the end of the first half. And usually when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has 9 points at the end of a half, the Thunder are losing that game by a lot. But not on Sunday. Jalen Williams had it going. Hartenstein has never missed a left-handed floater in his life. And, Chet Holmgren, the other guy that they turned to for offense, he was playing really well, in this crazy 23-2 Thunder run continued into the third quarter. They outscored the Grizzlies 36-16 in the second quarter. In the third quarter, they outscored the Grizzlies 44-27. They just kept it rolling. It was beautiful. And, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander made shots eventually, but he only scored 15 points. And they had a pretty similar situation to what the Pacers had in their first game against Milwaukee, right? Mathurin and Halliburton, 2 guys that you really expect to be able to go out and score or shoot the ball well, didn't. Combined 1 of 13 from 3, despite the absolute slaughter that was that Memphis Grizzlies Oklahoma City Thunder game 1. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams shot 1 of 11 from 3. Everyone else shot the ball pretty well, though. But the reason why the Thunder dominated that game is because they are the best defensive team in the league. It's why they're going to win the finals this year. Their defense is just suffocating. And it speeds you up so much that even when you're open, the shot is uncomfortable. This is the fastest defense in the NBA. They rotate around the perimeter at just an insane speed, and it is so difficult to generate a good shot against them because if you catch the ball and if there's any indecision whatsoever in what you're going to do next, the Thunder will just take it from you. Seriously. And even NBA players struggle when you make them move the basketball and process things that quickly. The Grizzlies turned the ball over 24 times against the Thunder, and the Thunder scored 24 points off of those turnovers. 24 easy points for a team as good as the Thunder is a death sentence. And when you're sped up, because that's what the Thunder just seems to do to everybody, when you're sped up like that, like it just throws off your rhythm. It throws off your timing. The Grizzlies were 6 of 34 from three. One of those was like a half-court heave from Marvin Bagley. Even when the Grizzlies were open, like they just didn't look comfortable. And the best offenses in the NBA are the ones that move at their own pace. And the Thunder just don't allow you to do that. They make you play faster than you want to. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had his lowest scoring game of the season. He only scored 15 points. Thunder won by 51. Those brooms, man. Get them ready. Game 2 tonight, 7:30. One question for the game. Can the Grizzlies make the game competitive? I don't think so. The Thunder are like 14.5 point favorites, that's a lot of points. But after game 1, it's like, is it a lot of points, you know? Can they just find a way to be competitive? I don't really know what adjustments that they can make. John Morant's just, like they're going to defend him the exact same way. They're going to go under every single screen, and they've got just like 5 guys that they can throw on Ja. And it's just a never-ending, relentless pressure from these Thunder guards because, like, between Caruso and Cason Wallace and Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a good defender and Jalen Williams is a good defender. I mean, like, they just got so many guys who can really guard the ball, and it's why they're the best team in all of in the NBA this year. No doubt about it. The other game going on tonight, the late game, the game that everybody's staying up late for and will be tuned into, Wolves versus Lakers. Game 2 tonight at 10 o'clock. Unlike the Pistons in game 1, because the Wolves went into LA and they stole game 1. The Wolves they didn't waste a big game from their role players. Jaden McDaniel goes for 25 points on 11 of 13 shooting. He was 3 of 3 from 3. Just didn't miss. He was incredible. He's not going to do that again. Yeah, I just, man, he didn't have to. He didn't have to play that great again because the Timberwolves already stole a road game, and he wasn't the only role player that played great. Naz Reid scored 23 points. He was 8 of 12 from the floor. He was 6 of 9 from 3. Chances are Naz Reid doesn't shoot the ball that well again, and chances are Jaden McDaniel doesn't shoot the ball that well again, but they don't have to. They already stole the road game. Just go home and defend home court. And these are the games that if you're the lower seed that you have to win. And the Timberwolves did that. They shot 50% from 3 on the night. 21 of 42. Look, if you're making 21 of your 42 threes, then you're not losing. Like, it's just not going to happen. It's just not. Julius Randle, I thought he was good. Julius Randle's got some like Russell Westbrook in him where he'll just do things and like he'll go to the rim and he'll just be like, crap, this isn't going to end well. But he didn't do any of that stuff. And he didn't make any boneheaded decisions in game 1. I thought he took the challenge of guarding LeBron pretty well. He just needs to cut down on the turnovers, 7 turnovers. That's way too many. He can't do that again. He did have 16 points, though, and I thought he did a good job of playing within himself. He'll need to continue to do that tonight because like he has to have a positive impact on the game if they want to beat the Lakers in this series. Anthony Edwards, he did everything. That, you could argue, was the best playoff game we've seen him play, and I'm sure that he scored more points in other playoff games and all that kind of stuff, but he had 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 9 assists. He shot the ball well, 4 of 9 from 3. And last year in the playoffs, he struggled to make the right decisions against defenses that paid him like a ton of attention and would double him and blitz him when he was coming off ball screens. Didn't see that in game one, man. I mean, he made every right decision consistently. Just, coming off screens, finding guys that are open. If he had space to take up, to get to the rim, or the ability to get to his step back jumper, then he did. Like, he just made every right decision. And it was a really impressive thing from him. And that is kind of the next step for a lot of these tough games. Or excuse me, that is the next step for a lot of these young players. Like, they have to make the correct decisions in tough games. Anthony Edwards struggled with that last year. He did a really good job of making the right decisions in game one. He's going to have to keep doing that if they want to win the series. And then for the Lakers, they have to defend the three-point line better. Yes, the Timberwolves were hot, but they had so many good looks. The Lakers got out-rebounded. They lost the turnover battle. Like, you can't get outshot from three, lose the turnover battle and the rebounding battle if you want to win. Like, you can't. LeBron also can't have a scoreless first quarter. He can't have a scoreless quarter, period. He was able to do that in the regular season, but, you and I both know the playoffs and the regular season are very different. And I understand that LeBron James is 40, and it's probably unfair that I'm expecting him to play better than what he did in game one, given his age. But he's their second best player. He has to be more impactful when he's on the floor, and he's very capable of it. Early in the season, before Luka showed up, like, LeBron did everything for the Lakers, and they won games with him doing that. Like, he's got it in the tank that he can go and, like, be that dude for 35 minutes. He's got it in him. He just has to do it. He has to be more aggressive in game two tonight, and I think he will be. The last thing that's problematic for the Lakers is Austin Reeves. LeBron he's made it known that most teams don't have a great third defender, right? So they got someone to put on Luka, they have someone to put on LeBron, but they don't have anyone to put on Austin Reeves. And LeBron is, 1,000% correct. Most teams don't have a good third defender. The issue is the Timberwolves do. Like, the Timberwolves can really defend between, Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels, and, Anthony Edwards is a good defender, and, Julius Randle, when he wants to be, he can be a good defender. And Austin Reeves really struggled in game one, 16 points on 5 of 13 shooting. Ty Jerome would never. And that's just not going to get it done for the Lakers. So he has to be better than that. LeBron, once again, can't have a scoreless quarter. Luka only had 1 assist, and people are ripping him for that. He only had 1 assist, but he made a bunch of passes. But LeBron and Austin Reeves, they have to be more impactful when they're on the floor if the Lakers want to win that series. Look, LeBron and Reeves, they'll figure it out. I expect for them to win tonight, and I still like the Lakers in 6. Still do. So we'll see. But that is your nightcap. John Buzzard chiming in over on Twitter, said that he's going to the game tonight. Congrats, John. I'm jealous. That's going to be a blast. It's going to be electric. There's not a better environment. Gamebridge playoff game. It's always electric. Okay. And yes, John, the Pacers game is at 7:00 tonight, not 7:30. NBA TV. Once again, if you're a Pacer fan and you want to watch the game tonight, you can buy the single game from FanDuel, because the game will be broadcast on the FanDuel Sports Network. Like, you can buy the single game for them. I think it's like $7. I think that's what I read. Todd Golden. That is not the right guy. Alex Golden. That's his name, I think. Alex Golden. He tweeted about it earlier today. Talked about how you can buy like a single game for like $7. So if you want to do that, you can definitely do that tonight to watch the Indiana Pacers hopefully go up 2-0 on the Milwaukee Bucks. When we come back here in about 4 minutes, we are 2 days away from the Indianapolis Colts making a draft choice, their first round draft pick. It happens on Thursday night. Can't wait for it. Going to be very intriguing to see who the Colts wind up taking with that 14th pick, if Shedeur Sanders falls, I hope it's Shedeur Sanders because, you got to have a quarterback if you want to win. You do. And Chris Ballard was asked about their working out of different quarterbacks, even after signing Daniel Jones. And look, you got to have a third-string quarterback, especially now that Colts legend Sam Ehlinger is gone. So, they're going to take a quarterback at some point. And because of that, Chris Ballard was prompted a lot to talk about the quarterbacks in this draft class, but also the Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones quarterback competition that we are set up to have going into training camp. Can't wait for it. A lot of stuff from Chris Ballard here when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome back to The Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on Twitter, __ Jonathan Smith, if you want to follow me there. Maybe you're listening via the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. Now, basketball tonight. Pacers, Milwaukee, they get it started at 7. That game is on NBA TV. But once again, you can buy the game. Stand still. It's like $7, something like that. It's not super expensive. Read that in a tweet earlier today. I don't know how you do that, so don't ask me how you do it. But, that is an option. Memphis and Oklahoma City, they play at 7:30. No need to watch that one. The Thunder are going to win that game by 1,000,000. And then to close it tonight, 10 o'clock, Timberwolves and Lakers. Can't wait for that game. I thought that Pacers Bucks was also going to be on ESPNU. Maybe that's a different game later on during the series, but maybe that's the game on Friday night. That's a real possibility. But we'll see. Either way, I'm fired up, ready for the game tonight, and I hope that you are as well. I'm also fired up for that NFL draft. Chris Ballard did his pre-draft press conference yesterday, just, talking about some of the different players, talking about the need at tight end, saying that you don't need to chase positions, but everyone does anyway. So it's just, he said a lot of things, and he was asked about why they've been working out quarterbacks when they already signed Daniel Jones. I understand the question, but at the same time, it's like they got rid of Sam Ehlinger. Like, they have to have another quarterback. They'll take someone in like the 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th round. Like, that's what it kind of seems like. And Chris Ballard gave a very long answer talking about why you work out quarterbacks, even if you already have one. Here's what he had to say.
We always, I think if you look every year, even when we had Andrew, we brought, quarterbacks in. I think you do that all the time. And we also, believe it or not, we worked out a couple. We went and visited a couple. I think you do that every year. The one thing you can see with the quarterback position now, you better get to know them in the draft process, because you never know when it's going to come back around to you. You just don't know. That's the one thing I always kind of giggle when a quarterback turns us down. Like, no, we're not going to visit with you. Okay, 3 years from now, we'll see how that plays out. Because you just look at it. The changing of teams now, the lack of patience. Guys are and everybody's developmental curve and journey is different. So you never know when it's going to come back around to you.
Chris Ballard right there talking about why you work out quarterbacks in a draft class, even when you already have one. And he mentions how important it is to get to know quarterbacks during the pre-draft process, because you never know when it's going to come back around to you. And we are in the middle of this right now. Daniel Jones, 6th pick in the NFL draft many, many years ago. Maybe not many, many years ago. Let's just go many years ago. And I'm sure that when he put on that New York Giants cap and he walked across the stage, I'm sure that no part of you, if you're a Colts fan, said, you know what? He's going to be a Colt someday. Right? You and I, we don't think like that. It's like, oh, the Giants are going to be bad again. Sounds great. And I think Chris Ballard's right, because this isn't a football-only thing where you work out players that you aren't going to be able to draft. In the NBA, teams, with the 30th pick will work out Cooper Flagg this year. And it's going to happen, or they're going to try to. He may say no. Or they're going to try to. And he's probably going to be like, nah, I'm good. You guys aren't going to draft me anyway. But teams want to get private looks at these guys because things don't always work out. And for Daniel Jones, in his first place in New York, it didn't work out. Now he's a Colt. And that is what Chris Ballard was kind of talking about there in that clip. And so because of that, it's important to know what these guys are like during that pre-draft process. Okay. And it's also important to know what these guys are like in the pre-draft process, because if you don't, then you wind up drafting an immature kid like Anthony Richardson. Later, during his press conference, he was asked why players bust. And he gave 3 different reasons. He talked about like the kind of athlete that you are, your instincts. In other words, just like how quickly you process things. That's kind of a tough thing to project. But the other thing he mentioned was character. Character is very important. It is. I think high character people are more likely to succeed in everything. And I really wish that the Colts had done a better job of getting to know Anthony Richardson's football character. I'm not going to say his real character because I don't know him well enough to speak on that. But I wish they had done a better job of figuring out his football character. Because, let's be honest, Anthony Richardson is on the verge of being a bust. And it's not going to be because he's not super talented. It's going to be because his football character is lacking. And when you say football character, when I say that, you're probably like, Jonathan, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the tap out. If you have stronger football character, in other words, more toughness, more resiliency, and that never happens. It doesn't. Not playing when you're a little banged up, like Anthony Richardson did towards the end of the season, like that to me shows a lack of football character. Like real football players, like rain, snow, sleet, hail, arms in a cast, whatever, they're playing as much as they can. Not showing up early to get in extra work or having to get benched in order for that to happen shows a lack of football character. And all of those issues play into part of why he's projecting right now to be a bust and to potentially be the backup quarterback to Daniel Jones. Now, the good news is character develops over time. It just does. Okay? And Anthony Richardson is coming back to the Indianapolis Colts facility this year, 1 year older. Okay, so hopefully over the course of the offseason, not only did his throwing mechanics develop, but hopefully his football character developed a little bit as well. And it should have, because the dude's only 22. And the older you get, the more your character develops and you figure out how to do those important things. And then you throw in the fact that Daniel Jones is now real competition for him. When that happens, that tends to fast track some of these football character issues that we saw from last year. When there's someone behind you breathing down your neck, threatening to take your job, it encourages you to not tap out for a play. It encourages you to, oh man, like my shoulder really hurts this week, but man, like if I sit out and Daniel Jones goes 18 for 25 for 283 yards and 4 touchdowns, like he may take my spot. So even though I'm hurt, I now have to play. That's what it does. And hopefully that is the biggest benefit of Daniel Jones. They're paying him, $14 million or whatever that number is supposed to be. And if that $14 million is what it took to get Anthony Richardson's butt in gear and to develop that football character a little bit more, then that is a $14 million very well spent. Because yes, the accuracy and the footwork has to improve, but so does the football character. Chris Ballard was asked about the starting quarterback position and how they're going to go about choosing who the starting quarterback is. And his answer was just unacceptable in many ways, shapes, and forms. But there's one thing in particular that really sticks out that I can't stand. Here's Chris Ballard telling us how they're going to decide who the starting quarterback is.
That'll be a decision between, Shane and, Jim Bob, Mr. Irsay, and we'll all get together and who gives us our best chance to win. I think it'll be a great competition between both of them. Look, sometimes I want to say this right. Like sometimes you got to be bad before you can be good at a play in this game. Sometimes you got to struggle before you can be good. All right. And we got 2 guys that have had some really strong flashes, and they've had some bad moments too. And that's okay. I think both of them will be better because of this. And I think the team will be better because of it. Competition brings out the best in everybody. And I think we'll see that. Whether, to sit here a day before we even start the offseason and have a vision of how you don't want to begin with an end in mind. We're not going to do that. It's like the draft. You don't want to begin with an end in mind. You got to let things play out the way they should and compete and who gives the team the best chance to win. If I'm a betting man, both of them, at some point, both of them will help us.
Both of them will help us because, Anthony Richardson's probably going to get hurt at some point. Chris Ballard right there talking about how they're going to decide who the starting quarterback is this season. And the fact that he mentioned that Shane Steichen and Jim Irsay will make the decision is a major red flag. That is too many cooks in the kitchen. And meddling owners do not win in any sport. You have to hire people that you trust. If he doesn't trust Shane Steichen to make the correct call as to who should be the starting quarterback, then Shane Steichen doesn't need to be the head coach, and they need to bring someone in that they feel is competent enough to make that decision. If he doesn't trust Chris Ballard to bring in the correct quarterbacks, then Chris Ballard doesn't need to be the general manager. This is just another episode of professional sports aren't real life. If my boss didn't trust me to do a good show every day, then I wouldn't have a show. That would just be the very simple reality of it. If you're a salesman and your boss doesn't trust you to make sales, then you're probably not going to be a salesman there much longer. That's the reality. That is the real world. Okay, if you don't do your job and I don't do my job, more importantly, if your boss doesn't trust you to do your job, or if my boss doesn't trust me to do my job, then I'm not going to have one anymore. And Shane Steichen, the biggest part of his job this season was supposed to be picking the correct quarterback. But now it's not on him. It's not. It's on him and Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard. How can Jim Irsay know whether or not to fire Shane Steichen at the end of the year if he's the one who picked the starting quarterback and that was the source of the Colts issue? How does that work? Jim Irsay and Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard are battling it out, talking. I think, let's say Shane Steichen's like, I want to play Daniel Jones. And Chris Ballard is like, I am kind of split on the decision here. And Jim Irsay is like, I want us to play Anthony Richardson because he's our young star. Obviously, you have to go with what Jim Irsay says because he's the owner. It's his football team. All of a sudden, the Colts are bad because Anthony Richardson is still bad. You can't fire the guy because he was right and you were wrong. This is just opening up a whole new can of worms. We got to ring the bell on that one. No way, brothers saying can of worms. Anyway, yes, Chris Ballard and his lack of drafting success is a problem. Shane Steichen not being a fully proven head coach yet is a problem. But Jim Irsay, if he's going to meddle in every decision, then that's a bigger issue than both of those things. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to The Real Jonathan Smith Show. I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back on the air tomorrow from 10 to noon with a lot of basketball. Bucks, Pacers, game 2 tonight. 7 o'clock is the tip-off. You can buy the game off of the FanDuel Sports Network. I don't know how to do that. Don't ask me, but I know that you can do that. So you should, because it's going to be an amazing, amazing game. The Dan Dockett Show comes your way at noon. Eddie White joining the show and Armando Seguero joining the show as well. So Dan Dockett Show, it's a loaded show today. I'll be back tomorrow from 10 to noon, and I'll talk to you